I've been with my fiancé, Chris, for 4 years. We met through mutual friends, hit it off immediately, and have had a healthy, loving relationship ever since. Chris is everything I could ask for. Kind, funny, hardworking, and he makes me feel like the most important person in the world. Naturally, when he proposed a year ago, I was over the moon. We started planning our dream wedding, which is set for next month. I couldn't have been happier. The problem? My sister, Amy, and my family's reaction to the whole situation. Amy is a few years older than me and has been married to her husband, Tom, for 6 years. I always looked up to her. She seemed to have everything: a loving husband, a nice house, and a stable career. We were close growing up, and I never could have imagined she'd be at the center of what's now become a living nightmare. The first sign that something was wrong happened about 6 months ago. Amy started acting strangely around Chris. She's always been friendly with him, but suddenly her behavior changed. She'd get overly flirty, make inappropriate jokes, and go out of her way to be around him whenever possible. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Maybe it's just how she is, I thought. But things escalated quickly. During family gatherings, I'd catch her staring at Chris, ignoring her own husband entirely. She started making little digs at me, comments about how I was lucky to have found someone like Chris, and how she wished she could have that kind of passion in her marriage. I even overheard her telling one of our cousins that if only she had met Chris first, things would be different. I was shocked, but I didn't want to believe it. I tried brushing it off, convincing myself it was just Amy going through a rough patch in her own marriage. After all, she and Tom had been arguing more lately, and she'd mentioned feeling unsatisfied with her life. But I had no idea how deep her feelings went, until she dropped a bomb that changed everything. 3 months ago, Amy asked to meet up for lunch, saying she needed to talk about something important. I had no clue what was coming, so I agreed. When we sat down, she looked visibly distressed. Before I could even ask what was wrong, she blurted out, "I'm in love with Chris." I nearly choked on my drink. I thought she was joking, but the look in her eye said otherwise. My stomach dropped as she started rambling about how she's been in love with him for the past year, how she can't control her feelings, and how she's realized that she made a mistake marrying Tom. She even had the audacity to tell me that she felt like Chris should have been her husband, not mine. I was speechless. I asked her if she had acted on these feelings, and she swore up and down that she hadn't. But honestly, that did little to comfort me. The fact that my married sister was in love with my fiancé felt like a betrayal I couldn't wrap my head around. I was hurt, disgusted, and frankly, furious. How could she do this? She was supposed to be happy with Tom, and yet here she was, confessing her love for the man I was about to marry. I left the restaurant without saying much, completely stunned. Over the next few days, I avoided her calls and texts, trying to process everything. My instinct was to confront Chris about it, but deep down, I knew he hadn't done anything wrong. He'd never shown any interest in Amy, and I trusted him completely. Still, I couldn't shake the sick feeling in my stomach. After a week of ignoring Amy, I finally got a call from my mom. She sounded upset, asking why I was avoiding Amy and telling me she was going through something really difficult. I couldn't believe it. Amy had clearly told our mom about her feelings for Chris, and instead of supporting me, my mom seemed to be defending her. When I explained the situation, my mom's response floored me. "Amy can't help how she feels, and maybe you should consider postponing the wedding until she's had time to sort things out." I told my mom there was no way I was going to delay my wedding for Amy's feelings. This was my life, my relationship, and my future with Chris. Why should I have to put everything on hold for something so ridiculous? But that conversation was just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, my family became increasingly cold toward me. My dad, usually the peacekeeper, told me that maybe I should talk to Amy and figure out a way to make things right, as if I had done something wrong. My mom was fully on Amy's side, constantly texting me about how heartbroken Amy was and how her marriage was now falling apart because of the stress of her unrequited feelings for Chris. Meanwhile, Amy and Tom's relationship was crumbling. Tom found out about Amy's confession, probably from her, given how much of a mess she was, and he was understandably livid. They started fighting constantly, and soon enough, Tom moved out. Now Amy's marriage was falling apart, and somehow I was being blamed for it. As if the family tension wasn't bad enough, my mom called me last week with an ultimatum. Either I postponed the wedding to give Amy some space to heal, or my parents and Amy wouldn't be attending. She even hinted that some other family members might feel uncomfortable attending as well, given the situation. I was livid. They were essentially telling me that Amy's feelings were more important than my wedding, more important than my happiness. I couldn't believe my family was siding with her, even though she was the one who crossed the line. Why should I have to pay the price for her inappropriate feelings? When I told Chris what had been going on, he was shocked. He had no idea about Amy's feelings and reassured me that he only had eyes for me. He was furious on my behalf and said that he couldn't believe my family was behaving this way. After talking it over, we decided to move forward with the wedding as planned, even if it meant doing it without my family's support. Now, here I am, a month away from my wedding, with my family basically in shambles. My sister's marriage is falling apart because of her obsession with my fiancé, and my parents are blaming me for it. They're refusing to attend my wedding unless I compromise and postpone it, which, frankly, feels like emotional blackmail. At this point, I'm devastated. What should have been one of the happiest times of my life has turned into a nightmare. My family is choosing my sister's twisted infatuation over my relationship, and I'm being made out to be the villain for refusing to accommodate her ridiculous feelings. To make matters worse, my extended family has started getting involved, with some cousins and aunts suggesting that I should be the bigger person and consider my sister's feelings. It feels like the entire world has turned upside down, and I'm being asked to sacrifice my happiness for her. Chris and I are still planning to go through with the wedding, even if it means doing it without my family present. But the guilt trips and emotional manipulation are starting to get to me, and I'm second-guessing everything. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to postpone my wedding because my sister is in love with my fiancé? OP's sister's feelings are her problem, not OP's. It's insane that OP's family is prioritizing her over OP's wedding. OP shouldn't have to put her life on hold because she's inappropriately obsessed with OP's fiancé. And now let's hear the community's opinion. What the hell? Not the a-hole. Your family is enabling your sister's toxic behavior, and they're acting like you're the one who did something wrong. This is your wedding, your life. If they want to miss it, that's their choice, but don't let them manipulate you. Not the a-hole. Your sister's in love with your fiancé, and somehow you're the bad guy? That's insane. Go ahead with your wedding, and if your family can't see the issue with Amy's behavior, then they're just as bad as she is. You deserve to be happy. Absolutely not the a-hole. Your sister is the one who crossed boundaries, and your family's response is just plain wrong. They should be supporting you, not enabling her. You do you, and don't let them guilt trip you into delaying your happiness. Sometime before lockdown, I won some money in a state lottery. It wasn't an insane amount of money, but it was enough to pay off my student loans, take some credentialing courses in my dream career, and live comfortably so long as I invested wisely. I've always had a problem with family, friends, and acquaintances harassing me over money and how I should help them out. My state doesn't keep their lotto winners' identities private, especially when I refuse to pay for something like someone's boob job or a coworker's bail money. But my main problem is people criticizing me on what I buy with my winnings. Case point, Lego Hogwarts. I never really was into Lego, but I ducking love anything to do with Harry Potter, and I have always wanted to have my own Lego Hogwarts after seeing so many posts about it on our Harry Potter. So I bought one for my birthday and worked on it during the first few months of lockdown. It was awesome. Well, while my family thinks I'm being childish for blowing my winnings on a toy, the person with the biggest problem would be my half-sister. She's 15 and is the golden child because she's my mom's youngest daughter and her dad's only child. Well, HS, for half-sibling, discovered a little something called Tumblr during lockdown and online activism. I think you can guess where this is going. But long story short, half-sister thinks I deserve to get canceled in her life for buying my Lego Hogwarts. I told her that's fine and all, but considering that it's my winnings, I can do with it as I please. She then sent me a DM telling me that I need to get rid of it. Yeah, I already bought it, and it's not going anywhere but with me in any future home I and my future family live in. So, not going to happen. Finally, she tells me that she wants me to make it up to her by paying for her breast reduction surgery. Reader, half-sister doesn't have gender dysmorphia. She just hates that she inherited our grandma's massive bust size, and she can't wear those lacy bralettes to school. She's even said so and blogged about it, so I have written proof. Again, I told her no, I'm not funding her surgery. Her dad is rich and he is already going to do it once she's old enough. But no, She is insisting I pay her off with my lotto winnings if I want her to leave me alone. This, of course, reeks of extortion, so no. I was telling some friends about my half-sister's woes, but they think I should just pay her off and get her off my back. I don't want to do this because it just means she is going to hound me for money for many, many years to come. But just in case, am I the a-hole for spending my money on a Lego Hogwarts and not my half-sister's surgery? Not the a-hole. It's your money, and you're right. If you give in, she'll just hound you more because she knows it works. It is a little crappy to say she doesn't have body dysmorphia, though. You don't know that, and it's entirely possible she does. A blog post doesn't necessarily have all her deepest feelings. I've had friends who got breast reduction, and it's helped them out a lot. They were cis women. But the point isn't that she doesn't need the surgery. The point is, it's not your responsibility either way. It's not like she can get it if you don't help. And even if that were the case, it's still not your responsibility. But might be a nice thing to do if she wasn't extorting you. Not the a-hole. Tell the brat to depend on her own parents for support. It is literally their responsibility. Spend your money how you want. Anyone who gives you crap would be given one chance, and if they mess up, they are back on a block list. Money does funny things to people when it is just barely out of their reach. Don't let them get you. My mother recently informed me that my brother and sister-in-law are in debt and have asked my parents for a loan. I should preface this by saying this is the second loan they have received from my parents. The first was $80,000 that they used to pay down previous debt. Student loans is what I was told, so that they could buy a house down the street from my parents. That was just 4 years ago. My mother refuses to tell me how much this loan is for, but she said it was more than the previous amount. This is technically my dad's retirement money. He has another job with a lower salary to keep him busy, but my mom is retired. They are both in their early 60s, so they have time left on the earth to do things. Basically, I am furious at my brother and sister-in-law. They don't know that I know, and I really want to say something to at least my brother. My parents have resigned to telling me to get over it and don't let it bother me, but I can't help it. Mainly because I know that this debt is because of my sister-in-law, who has a problem with money. This is akin to me asking her parents to pay off my personal debt. I could never fathom asking my boyfriend's parents to pay off my debt because of my bad spending habits. I should add that they have 2 kids, which definitely works to their advantage in this situation, especially when it comes to my dad, who is a sucker for my nephews. I'm at a loss. This is something I cannot let go of, and there is significant resentment on my end to where I don't know how to pretend I'm not bothered when I'm around them next. I just feel like they made their bed and should figure out how to get out of this mess on their own. I also believe that this is my business because this is our inheritance, or what will be left of it, and I should have a say. I know my parents will never get this money back, and I can almost guarantee that there will be no lesson learned from this. So, am I the a-hole? And should I just let my brother know how I feel about this? Yes, the a-hole. I also believe that this is my business because this is our inheritance, or what will be left of it, and I should have a say. I was kinda with you when I thought you were just concerned for your parents' well-being and ability to enjoy their retirement, but this changed my mind. If you have a problem with your parents spending their money because it's supposed to be your inheritance, make sure you tell them that. I definitely want to know if my kid was counting on my money before I was even dead, so I could write them out. At the same time, I don't get why your parents told you about it in the first place if they don't want you to say something about it. Yes, the a-hole. Sorry, it isn't your money. It's not your loan, and it's none of your business. You are doubly an a-hole because your main concern is your inheritance. Your parents can leave their money to anyone they want. Not the a-hole. How many handouts do they need? Have you ever asked for or borrowed significant sums of money from your parents? How much further ahead would you be in life if $80,000 was dropped in your lap? Plenty of people are commenting that this is none of your business, but they are mostly unrealistic and inexperienced. The fact is, repeatedly loaning one child money while leaving the other high and dry is destructive and inevitably builds resentment. Setting aside that aspect, your parents are pissing away retirement money. Will it be your brother and sister-in-law putting in significant effort to care for them and manage their affairs? By nature of Reddit posts, there's a lot of background information missing here. What I can tell you, though, from personal experience, is that individuals who are crap with money tend to be awful caregivers and lacking in skills necessary to manage others' affairs. Edit. Update. I finally spoke with my parents last night. My dad has decided to give them half the amount first and ask them to show him that they will pay it back. He says he feels financially secure enough to do this. I feel slightly relieved, but still have tremendous resentment toward my sister-in-law for having the nerve to ask this of them. Apparently, my idiot brother lets her handle the finances when she is the last person who should be doing so. Still not sure how I will proceed. I just don't think I'll be able to keep my mouth shut, but I'm going to try my best. Backstory. My mother was an alcoholic, but a well-off alcoholic. She would occasionally gift me or my brother small sums of money. Once, she even paid my credit card bill for me when I was out of work. This comes into play later. My brother gets a call from my mother, who is very drunk. She says, "Your sister stole a large amount of money, $5,000, from my bank account." My brother calls me and demands to know what is going on, and I have no idea what he is talking about. My brother finally manages to articulate that I broke into Mom's account and stole this $5,000 from her. I am still completely confused, and he seems to realize things aren't as they seem. We hang up. He says he'll call back tomorrow. However, he is still angry with me. The next day, he, calm now, calls me back and says he has figured it all out. Mom had accidentally paid my credit card instead of hers, and she thought I took the money because she was drunk when she paid it. She regularly accuses people of stealing from her while drinking, but it was the first time she'd accused a family member, and I was pretty offended my brother believed I'd done this. My brother says to me, "I just need you to return Mom's money and we'll be fine." Here's where I might be the a-hole. I did not have the money. In fact, I had a $4,700 balance on my card that I had been working to pay off. I had maybe a couple hundred in a savings account. I tell him it's impossible. I was in debt. I can't even return the extra she paid because it was a credit, unless I requested it by mail, which would take a while. I'd be happy to pay her back over time, but I can't pay her back in a lump sum. I simply don't have it. My brother is absolutely furious and goes on about what a loser I am and how this is basically stealing from my mother. My mother, on the other hand, tells me not to worry about it and not to rack my card back up again. She literally never brought it up again. Soon after this incident, my mother passed. Now, my brother won't stop bringing it up, and I am so frustrated. I even gave him $5,000 for my half of the inheritance, and he still doesn't care because she didn't get it from you. He will not let it go, and the amount he's clinging to it makes me feel like I am the scum of the earth. Am I the a-hole for not being able to pay my mother back when she paid my credit card bill by accident? Edit. The most commonly asked question seems to be, why did you give him the full $5,000 instead of half or none at all? Mom left us both quite a bit, and we are both quite well off now. I did it as a token to try and right the situation, and it has obviously failed. I know $5,000 is more than half, but I was trying to make a gesture. Ultimately, it is a drop in the bucket, and my brother has been being very weird, so I tried everything I could to fix it, including that. Not the a-hole. Jesus, your brother doesn't seem to understand personal responsibility. Your mom was drunk and paid the wrong credit card. Nothing you can do about that. I don't know how he expected you to come up with $5,000. The fact that you gave him $5,000 now is so wrong. Not of you, but that you felt you needed to. He didn't deserve that money. Maybe this is part of his grieving process, so I don't want to crap on your brother too much. But the fact that he still brings this up is out of hand. And not to be crass, your mom couldn't take that money with her to the afterlife. Not to mention the fact she wasn't broke and didn't care that she paid the wrong card. Background. My 36 male, wife Elise, 32 female, is 37 weeks pregnant with a boy. The pregnancy has been rough for her and she's been on bed rest for the past 2 months, but we're still excited for our first child together. We've had a lot happen over the past year. First house, new jobs in our career fields, a new dog, new car, marriage, etc. And this baby has been the icing on the cake for us. My brother Kirk, 34, and his wife Jill, 30 female, have just lost their home for lack of payment. Jill is a stay-at-home mom to their daughter, 5, and Kirk's job cut down to 4 days a week, so money had been tight for them. Kirk asked if they could stay with us for a few months. I knew about them losing their house a couple of weeks ago, so that part wasn't a surprise. But I didn't know they had nowhere to go. We have a decent-sized family. We have 2 older sisters, 38 and 40, and Kirk's twin, 34, all married. I asked why he couldn't stay with them. He said the 2 oldest couldn't accommodate them as they both live in 2-bedroom apartments, and our brother lives with our parents. both 67, over 1,000 miles away in a two-bedroom townhome. Kirk pointed out that Elise and I have a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath house, meaning there's enough room for them to have 2 rooms and we can have the other 2. Plus, we live in a good school district for my niece, and we are only 20 minutes from their house, so my niece can still see her friends. I was hesitant and said I'd ask Elise and get back to him. Elise said no. She said that since it's our first child, she wants us to have time to bond with our child and be a family. She also intends to breastfeed and wants the privacy. She said she's already nervous about giving birth. She wants a natural one and does not want the stress of an entire family in her safe space, house. I'm not going to lie. I agreed. I told Kirk what we decided. Yes, I said we. And he got mad at me. Reminded me that when I took a year off of college for my depression, he let me stay with them for 6 months. I told him that was different because I paid him rent, $350 a month, and neither of us had a wife or children. I said, my wife is pregnant and she needs time to relax after having the baby. Kirk, unbeknownst to me, had me on speaker, and Jill commented that Elise and I were being self-centered, and that they were going to have nowhere to go if we didn't help them. But I said we can't right now because we have to think of our son first and Elise's health after giving birth. I asked Jill if she would have wanted to host a family at their house immediately after giving birth, and then the phone hung up. This was last night. Our eldest sister Hannah called me soon after to convince me to change my mind, saying that we can still bond with 3 additional people in the house, and this may come back to bite me in the future. But I still said no. But honestly, I'm starting to feel bad, but I still don't disagree with Elise. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. Jill is currently looking for a job. She's been looking since Kirk lost hours at work, so maybe about 1 or 2 months. Not the a-hole. Plus, we live in a good school district for my niece. They're just staying for a few months, allegedly. Why does the school district matter? Isn't the point here simply to ensure they have a roof over their heads? Or are they under the impression that once they're moved in, they can guilt-trip you into letting them stay in perpetuity, since you owe Kirk for helping you out that one time under completely different circumstances, and you've got the room and resources? Never mind you might have other plans for them. Sure sounds like the latter to me. Put your foot down that this is not an option, and you need to focus on the impending birth of your child. So Kirk and Hannah and anyone else who insists on involving themselves needs to figure something else out instead of continuing to waste time arguing with you. Not the a-hole. They lost their house for lack of payment and are both without jobs, so they won't be qualifying for a mortgage anytime soon. And getting someone to let them rent anywhere decent isn't going to be an easy task either. They've essentially already split your house half and half in their minds and planned their daughter's entire schooling and social life based on your house's location. If you let them move in, they will definitely not be out in a few months.